All right, Soulful fam. If you're new here, welcome to the only podcast where military dad, trauma survivors, and emotionally constipated men gather weekly to tell each other, hey, bro, you cried? Good. You're finally healing. Tonight's episode, like I say in most episodes, is kind of personal. I spent a long damn time thinking if I felt less, I'd hurt less. And spoiler alert, it didn't work. Turns out numbing your feelings doesn't make you strong. It just makes you emotionally congested. And I get it. We've all been there, right? You're 5 seconds from a breakdown, but you're at work. So you just blink aggressively, right? And chew gum like it's your last defense against tears. That's not strength. That's survival. And that kind of survival has an expiration date, unfortunately. So tonight, we're throwing the whole myth in the trash. The myth that being strong means being silent, that real men don't cry. We've talked a lot about that, right? That emotions are a threat to masculinity, all of that. Let's rip that mask right off. Let's burn it. Let's get the truth out. And I'm going to start it off. A topic of where I learned to numb. As I've mentioned before, I didn't have a dad growing up. No male role model saying, hey, son, it's okay to feel things. Cry out. I got you. What I had was a mother who was in constant survivor mode. And don't get me wrong, my mom, much like yours, Gihso, and you said in the past, she's a superhero.
Yeah.
But when you're a single mom juggling jobs, meals, bills, and a whole dang emotional hurricane of a child in this kid, plus 13 more, there's not much room left for let's talk about your feelings, right? So when I broke down, I did it alone. Corner of a room, lights off, melting down in silence like it was a damn ritual, screaming inside my head, but never out loud. And I didn't realize it then, but that's where the numbness started for me. And once I figured out how to shut it all down, I kept going, because if no one sees the mess, right, then maybe you're not really messy. That's the philosophy I went with anyways, right? But that's the wrong answer. You become really good at hiding mold under drywall with that methodology, if you feel what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to prompt for this segment that sort of mentality that I had growing up, and maybe trigger something within y'all to come up with your own versions of what that looked like for you, if it looked like that at all. And maybe we'll start off with you, Gihso.
Yeah, man, being numb. Oh gosh, man, this is a deep topic for me, gentlemen, because that was my safe space a lot of times, right? Going there and just not wanting to feel, just not wanting to deal with stuff, just wanting to run away, hide away, escape. I mean, there was moments where I was looking at bridges like, right, this is deep things. And for me, when I went to that sunken place of not wanting to deal with anything, that was probably one of the darkest moments for me of the numbness, because you can become so numb that you lose grip on reality. You lose grip on life. You lose grip on people who care about you. You push them away. You shun an eye to them. Even when help comes in, you block it off, because I was never taught how to rearrange my thoughts. I was never taught how to deal with the hurt and the pain. I was taught that pain equals weakness. And that's not true. Pain is strength. Pain is alerting you that something is wrong. I love now, as I've gotten older, stress factors, right? It's something that I've recalibrated my thinking on it. And oftentimes now, and I find myself slipping back to the numbness because I was used to it. It was comfortable there, but it's dangerous. So now I've learned how to put things in place, fail safes, right? Battle buddies. That if I really need to talk, absolutely, I will pick up said phone 4 in the morning and hope you answer. Right? But man, that is something that every person, every man, every young girl, every boy who was coming up in life, who was learning things, who's feeling things, don't run from it, right? I know we talked about it before, and I like saying this phrase, suppression equals depression. And that is something that I had to learn how to stay away from. The numb places, the feeling of inadequate, because that comes with it. not being enough,
Yeah.
not providing enough, right? And for me, as I go on this journey, as we talk about a lot of times, the healing journey, it has taught me how to be strength in different ways. It's not always the muscle. It's not always right, but sometimes it's talking. Sometimes it's just sitting in the quiet and feeling things. Right, learning how to express myself in writing. This is something that a lot of us wasn't taught, and you can slowly slip away in the void. And I don't want anybody to slip away in the void. Listen, if you're listening to this and you feel like that, we're here for you. You have help. You got people that's on your side. You are not alone. But man, that's a powerful question, man. This gonna be a hot topic here. I feel it.
Yeah.
I'm sweating already. If y'all can't tell, this is good.
Yeah, me too. I'm already blown on from my words, man.
Yeah.
Camp, what you got, brother?
Yeah.
Well, the weird thing is I kind of started going through some of these thoughts earlier today. There's been a lot of points in my life where I was numb unintentionally. That was because of the different medications I was on that I didn't realize was making me numb.
Yeah.
Other people would see it, but I'd be in the I just don't give up anymore.
Right.
Anything and everything. It didn't matter what it was. It could be the simplest thing. It could be something that's probably very serious, but at the time I didn't know the difference. I just didn't care.
Yeah.
But then once I finally started realizing that was going on, then I would start getting back to, okay, now I got to figure out why I'm feeling this way. Well, okay, that worked for a little while, and then I ran again. Then I started getting into the numbness again. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go hide and play video games. That was my escape for the longest time because I was not present. I was zoning out on something that had no, at the time, it was just literally wasting my time. It was not helping me. It was not benefiting me one bit. Granted, I can do it now as a fun thing to do occasionally, but I was doing it all the time. It was like another addiction, more or less. And that was my safe space. That was my, somebody picked on me. Somebody made me feel bad. Okay, I'm going to go play video games. I don't feel comfortable in this situation. I'm going to go hide in my room.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to deal with it. And I'm sure at the time, which I can't recollect clearly if I did or didn't, I'm sure I had people that wanted to try to help me understand it. But the way I absorbed things wasn't the way they tried teaching me. So it was still difficult for me to try to understand exactly what was going on in my head.
That's deep.
So it's just a different way of learning, just the way some people function. And I never understood it. And up until recently, I still have just now started to learn it. I've always hid in that numbness for up until the last 10 years of my life.
Yeah.
I've always hid. And every time I did, things just got worse.
Yeah.
Things just escalated.
Yeah.
Bills piled up.
Yeah.
This, that, and the other thing. It's like, I don't, you'd figure you'd learn. You'd figure you'd catch on.
Right.
But
that's the hope.
hiding in that, you'd hope. But hiding in that numbness was no benefit. And it's no benefit to anybody. If you don't understand what's going on, just ask somebody. And if you don't understand how they explain it, have them try to re-explain it a different way. Have them give you examples. Have them break it down as far down as they can go. If not, ask somebody else. And keep asking until you finally get it. Otherwise, it's just going to keep getting worse. And not letting it out, not letting those emotions come out, and you realize what's really going on, you're not going to be able to get to that healing point or even start it.
Man, we started off hot, fellas. We started off hot. Hey, this is the funny thing though about numbness, though, right? It's we talk about this quite a bit, but it's true. It wears disguises.
Yes.
And let me put it this way: you ever seen somebody so put together that they look suspicious?
Yeah.
Yo, that was me, y'all. That was me. Iron clothes, clean kitchen, good job. Meanwhile, I hadn't emotionally processed a damn thing since 2004.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Numbness is slick. It dresses up. It shows up like grind mode, like hustle culture, like I'm good, bro energy, right? Rage at people who just want to love you.
Yep.
And me, I carried my numbness like it was a military patch, right? Prideful, tight, isolated. I told myself I was independent through that all. But truthfully, I was scared as hell. I was scared of letting people in my circle, anyone close enough to see that I was bleeding from shit that happened years ago.
Yeah.
You know what it cost me in the mix of all that? It cost me real love. It cost me trust. It cost me connection with other people like y'all. I've learned, you know, what it ultimately cost me, it cost me. It cost me because I lost myself in that. You don't realize how lonely numbness is until someone hugs you and you flinch like they just pulled a knife.
That's
You
real.
know what I mean? I shared that story of that girl that hugged me in the military, right? That's what it felt like someone was coming up on me. But she didn't have an agenda, right? Like I said, and it changed something within me. When did you all start realizing that your numbness wasn't armor?
Man, that's a great question, man. For me, when my first crack, right, in the armor of numbness was when this was a moment where I felt so abandoned. And I had so many people around me because I created this false narrative that if I do everything for everybody, they'll love me.
Feel you there.
Right.
Yeah,
and that was not the case.
That's a sad release. Yeah.
Right. I will always be there. I will always say yes. And I'm available. I'm here. Why? Because I was deprived of true friendship. I was starving for the tactileness of mentorship. And for me being numb as, an adolescent coming up, that numbness will allow you to be attached to the wrong people in your life because we haven't dealt with some of those issues and scars in life. And that was me. I was attaching myself to people that was using me badly.
Right.
All the time. Only was around when I had something or that I can do something for them. And because of the wanting, the longing for true friendship, I numb those real emotions. When you're like, hey man, that's not fair to you, but it's okay. It's all right. I got to be a good person. I got to do this. I have to show up for them. I have to show up for this because now I'm suppressing. I'm cutting off. I'm being numb to what is real, what is reality for you. And at the end of the day, I had a breakdown where I started to lash out on everybody. And folks were like, whoa, wait a minute. What's wrong? He's the good guy. But no one really saw me. No one really heard me. And man, for me, I said, I have to change and I have to figure out, why I feel this way. And two, am I willing to face the numbness? Am I willing to, reverse that? And it was a hard thing. It was, but it was around just fake people showed me exactly who I was. Once I opened up my eyes and opened up my spirit to myself. And that's where I started to feel again. I said, oh, wait a minute. I am a good person. I am loved. I am appreciated. If I appreciate myself, if I love myself, right? These are the things that I was numb to for a long time and I suppressed it. But it was fake friends that showed me the way.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, the things that you're willing to look past in that mindset, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, I've been there too. I feel you on that same one, man. I think we probably all have,
Yeah.
It's that whole, if we treat everybody nice, we're gonna be that guy that everybody loves. But no matter what we did, it didn't make a difference.
No.
Because you could still tell that those people were those people. Doesn't matter who they are.
Right. Absolutely.
It's not like I need to call anybody out. That's not what we're here for. But it's just that there's people that are just like that. And they probably don't even realize they're like that.
Yeah. That's true, man. That is so true.
But I can't say there was just a magic switch for me. There was never a defining moment when I realized it, to tell you the truth. It's been a long process. It's never really been one key moment that I go, okay, I can definitely say that I'm, more or less cured of being numb.
Sure.
Or even that I noticed a huge shift.
Sure.
Just because it's been a very slow process.
Yeah.
Multiple times of catching it. Multiple different instances where it's like, why am I doing this? Not really noticing why I was, and then just shifting my mindset a little bit to, do something different. And then I'm like, oh, okay, now I kind of get this. But I would say I'm still on that journey. And by doing this podcast, by hanging out and learning who I am still to this day, and it's continuously going to be ongoing. Just, I'm learning more about myself in the last 5 months than I have my entire life, to be totally fair.
Wow. I love that.
Like I haven't hit that point where I know I'm 100. I'll never be 100%, but where I'm 80% at the ultimate me,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
But if anything that we say here can help anybody that's listening to go, okay, I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
Any of us, you know, I'm here for it. You know, I'm hoping that this gets to the right people that need to hear this.
Yeah.
And that numbness is not something you want to play around with. If you
Mm-mm.
even suspect it a little bit, you probably have it worse than you think.
Mm.
Think
Wow.
about it for just a
Thanks.
little bit. Think about it for just a little bit. You know, go in your head and go, okay, what did I do last time somebody said I love you? What did you do last time somebody got on my case about something? What was your response?
Yeah.
And then come back and, you know, realize what's really going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Facts. Gentlemen, I wanted to switch it up a little bit, and we kind of did this last episode, but I wanted to bring spirituality into this mix a little bit and kind of
Mhm.
take this with a grain of salt for whatever spirituality means to you. I'm going to speak in terms of God and Christianity, but you know, for me, people generally act like spiritual strength means walking around unfazed like a Jedi monk, right? But if you've ever read traditional scripture, right, Jesus wept. You know what I mean?
He did.
David wrote whole emotional mixtapes, y'all.
Yeah.
And I know I'm being general in my terms here, so don't take it as blasphemous, please. I'm just trying to speak to the crowd here. But
Yeah.
if you look at Job lost everything. You know what? He said, Lord, this sucks.
Yeah.
I know he didn't say it like that. Just hear me, right? God still rolled with him, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if the creator gave us emotion,
Mhm.
men specifically, but for women too, man, I want you to hear this. Why are we acting like they're a design flaw?
Mm. Wow.
If anything, tears are proof that your soul still works.
Yeah.
I used to think that God didn't want my mess.
Mm.
Now I think he prefers them. Because my cleanest prayers, hear me on this, they never healed me.
Mm.
But those broken, chest heaving, snot and regret prayers, those move mountains for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so this is that mindset shift that we've talked about so continuously, that each of our collective journeys have brought us in one way or another to along that line. And it may not be spirituality for you. It may be another topic.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring this into the mix because that's kind of been my journey, is I've had to redefine who God is to me
Mm.
and what my relationship is with him and how I communicate with him, right? What does that look like for you fellas?
Man, bro, you said a mouthful right there. I think I may have touched on this maybe about 3, podcasts ago about spirituality and how I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I had to come from up under the shadows of my grandma relationship with God. I had to come from up under the shadows of my mom relationship
I
with
remember.
God. And I always thought that I had it through them. And I never personalized it for a long time. And because of some of the numbing, because of some of the heartache and pain and struggles, that's where you find true relationship in that. And I think it's something that has really helped me define who God is in my life. Because like you said, some people think that you float and walk on water and, hover amongst the trees and, kissing lily pads and hummingbirds. Right. There you go. Oh, no. Come back to earth. Come back to earth. It is relationship. Platt, you said it powerfully, man. And for me, that is something that I strive hard to do, right? You said it, Jesus wept. All these life lessons of humanity that he shows us. It was never to hurt somebody through scripture.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you see a lot. If you don't read like me, if you don't believe like me, if you don't pray like me, well, pow.
Yep.
It was never that. It was all through love. It was all through asking the question. It was all through real life relationships. Hey, yeah, cast the net on the other side. Well, I've been out here fishing all day. Well, do it. And they did it. What happened? Miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Woman at the well. He just told her, hey, the husband you have now is not even. She was like, who is thou'st? How do you knoweth thou'st nameth? But it was always from a humanity side. And I think that is the trick sometimes, right? We think that it has to be all up here. And a lot of times it's, man, I need help. I'm lost. I don't know which way to go. Are you there? Do you hear my prayers? Right? Give me a sign. It's the humanity, man. And for me, once I unlock that, I stopped being so judgmental to people. I stopped pointing the finger at other folks. I stopped being so hateful. Man, that's a powerful thing, man. And now this journey that I'm on, it has allowed me to understand people and to love them right where they are, because that is how God does us. He loves you right where you are. That is growth.
Yeah, that's why I bring up this topic, and then we'll go to camp. I think the secret to the numbness that we experience in our various forms, and like you said, there's so many masks with this, you know what I mean, to numbness, that it can be hard to distinguish what's reality and what path you need to go on. But I think the key here is whatever spirituality is for you, that numbness can, at a minimum, dissipate when you involve some sort of spirituality into your life and you start to love again.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I wanted to touch on this subject. So what do you got, Camp? That was powerful, Gihso. Powerful.
Yeah. There's a lot going on in this episode. Let's just say that. Oh my, it's a good one. Not to toot our own horn here at this point.
Good. It's good.
Yeah, exactly. I would have to say, I don't know if I kind of mentioned it, probably did in a past episode also. At one point, I believed a different faith. I was more towards the pagan religion, and I didn't completely understand what I was, where I was going, what I've been believing in. But when I did reach out for help, I never put a label on it, though. I'd never say directly who I was asking. And the more I think about it, the more I'm coming to that realization that it was probably him. They're all connected in a way. Whatever faith you believe in, they're all different versions or whatever that current society called him. However you want to look at it. And that's just kind of how I see that whole thing right at this point. And I'm still on that journey. But like you said, though, Lyman, the best times I got answers were when I was at my worst, when I'm crying out for help, when I'm going, I don't know what to do. Somebody, please help me. And the ones where it's like, okay, I know exactly what I want. I'm going to do this, and we're going to do this. We're going to pray for this, and nothing changes.
Right.
It never made any sense to me. But, the more and more I kind of mull it over and really look at it, the bigger picture, it makes sense now. And I'm slowly leaning towards that faith. It's just, it's going to be a process for me. It's going to be a process, still figuring that whole side of me out yet. But everything has a divine timing. Everything has a purpose. It's not pre-scripted, I can tell you that much, but it's
right.
In a way, it kind of is.
Right. But I understand what you're saying there, Camp. No, that's powerful, man. I do. I get that 100%, bro. Yeah.
What it brings up to me, and just openly talking about this with you fellas, is this kind of leads into kind of a good segue of strength is the word that comes to mind for me. What strength looks like now in the moments where I've redefined so many things, what God means to me, all the masks that are out there that I'm trying to unshield myself from, right? And for me, I used to think that strength was being unbothered, right? And now I know it's being seen. And so I strive for that, and I think we all do along the way. I think it's a big part of mental health is a lot of men struggle feeling seen.
Sure.
And I think that's kind of where this comes in. I know that strength is being seen, and strength for me now to more maybe easily define it is saying I'm not okay and actually meaning it. You know what I mean? Like owning that truth, choosing therapy over tequila. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Praying messy and honest instead of just the hollow prayers and the me, wants.
Yep.
Letting someone witness you fall apart and not running away from it. But here's the kicker in all of that. Now that I have that voice, and this is kind of the crazy part for me, some people don't know what to do with it. Because I've struggled, like Camp was saying, I'm kind of in that same process. These are all our own journeys, but they're kind of similar. And that's kind of why we do this whole thing, right? For other people to kind of see that and share those similarities. But now that I have that voice, awkwardly. It's something that I wanted all along.
Yeah.
I've never felt like I had it. I certainly didn't have it in my first marriage. People don't know what to do with it. And I've heard it all. You're too intense. Why are you so quiet now? You never used to talk about this stuff. But the truth of it all is I'm not trying to perform anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not shirking for everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not afraid to be too much anymore, because finally I'm enough for me. And in the end, that's what matters. What do y'all think about that?
Man, when you were talking, I heard true strength is freedom. And that's what I really absolutely believe in, man, because I spent many of my days performing and wearing, like you said, the masks and being to others what I should have been to myself. That was a painful thing. But now, since I understand that, oh man, strength comes in so many different forms and variations, right? Strength to me is the willingness to even learn who I am. That takes strength, right? Going deep in the basement, moving things around. That takes strength. Going in the attic of your mind, right? Knocking down those cobwebs. That takes strength. You said it earlier, Lyman. Man, saying that I'm not okay. Choosing a different outlet. Letting somebody love on you. Right? The lady who hugged you and you was like, whoa, but that takes strength. It's not always how much we can bench press. It's not always how much we can, right, extract from the earth. Get out of here, weeds. I'm strong. It's not always about that aspect, man. But it comes in so many different forms and facets of life that now that word to me has evolved, because what allowed me to extract a new strength was when I got real sick and I couldn't do anything. And I couldn't rely on me. Ooh, I wanted to say that so many times. I love that word, but I couldn't rely on that, man. I had to find, right, is mental clarity, man. It's right. It's really understanding that you're going to be okay. It's the willingness to go forward. It's the willingness to say, I'm tired, and tell other people, and to rest. Those to me are powerful qualifications of strength. It encompasses so many different things. And I think some people put one aspect on it and that's it. No, there are certain levels of strength that we haven't even tapped into, because why? Certain things we haven't experienced. And once we do, man, once we keep becoming, as my boy Cam say all the time, I love it, 1% better. I love when you say that. Y'all, strength comes in so many different variations, and it allow you to become what others aren't, because they may need some of your strength. They may need your shoulders. They may need that to lean on. They may need that. That's why I love this, what we're doing, gentlemen. This right here is strength to other people. And we're just conversing. We're just talking about a topic. But this here is, all right, let me stop, man. I'm getting my sweats again. Oh, man, what you got, man? You know me, man. I get excited.
All right. So strengths, you know, like as soon as you said it too, there's so many different things. In my mind, strength, there's no such one thing. There's not. And me, the strengths that I've learned to lean on are, like you said, being that 1% better every day. You know,
I love it when you say that too, by the way.
Being who you should be, being authentically you, that's a strength. You know, not hiding and shunning from things, that's a strength. Keeping a schedule every day of some basic things you know you need to do, that's a strength.
Come on, Cap.
I'm just, you know, like I wake up every day, I just do a basic like a cardio routine in a sense, where I'm working on different things. Each day is different, but that's a strength. I'm not doing it to build myself up and be, you know, Mr. Muscle Man, but I'm doing it to define who I already am. I'm not doing it for anything other than that. And that just adds into the strengths. It's so encompassing. It's hard to just pick one or even just pick a few, because I could just keep going and going and going. It's just strengths look like, you know, it's not physical. It's not, I can pick this up and I can run 1,000, you know, miles or whatever. That's physical strength. It's not going, hey, I can be the perfect person for every situation and I'm okay. No, you're not. That's not strength. That's hiding. That's again going into the numb mode. You know, we don't need that. Just being able to open up and be able to be you is like the biggest, you know, strength that we can push on.
That's beautiful.
You
know, strength, to me, it's useless if you can't pass on some sort of message, right? Afterward. And it leads me into the next segue that I wanted to discuss, and that's our kids. Because for me, there's two options, right? I can continue the generational curse that I've been unfortunately dealt, or I can learn from my past mistakes and share that with other people so that they can perhaps move a little further ahead, maybe a little bit more quicker.
Yeah.
Maybe. And so, you know, I kind of prefaced this in the beginning when I said that this was going to get serious. This is where it gets serious for me. If nothing's touched you this far, I have a premonition that this next segment is going to be gold for somebody out there.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. I'm raising 4 daughters and a son now, right? And if they end up with a man who thinks strength equals silence, he's not going to know how to hold her.
Wow.
And I might have to lay my hands on somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it starts with us.
Yeah.
And if we don't teach our sons to cry now, their partners will pay for that suppression that you talked about, Gihso, later.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. If we don't model softness, our daughters will grow up believing loud silence is love. I want my kids to see that strength isn't about muscles, like you said, Gihso, or keeping your mouth shut, right? It's about presence, about being emotionally available, even when it's hard. Because in the fires of hardship, I believe manhood is refined. And the gold that comes out of that, that's character.
Yeah.
That's legacy. That's real inheritance.
Yeah.
That's what I want to pass down to my kids. That's what I think is real gold, real currency.
Yeah.
Taking my failures of my past and turning it into something that somebody else can build off of.
Yeah. Man, that's powerful, Doc. That's real. I love that, man. And you can feel the emotion behind it, and you can feel the truth of what you said there, man. That is powerful. For me, my son, that's my boy. I teach him, and I say to him that your name is so important in this earth. Your name is so powerful when spoken through the mouth of other people. And I always say that when I leave this place and someone rattles off Brian or Gihso or my last name Elias, does a smile come upon their face? Does, right, the feelings of greatness? Do they look at me as, man, this man really loved? He showed us that he had failures and everything wasn't always perfect, but he allowed himself to mature in those hurts. This is something that I preface my son with every day. Son, your name is so important. The money will come. The women, they'll come. They'll be there. Trust me. It is your name, sir. You keep your name. Keep it pure. Keep it clean. And if you do that, everything else will fall into place. Let me tell you a quick story about him. He played football, and I was his football coach. He was probably in the 7th grade. And these kids, they were down maybe 3 points. And my son was tired. He was battered. He was bruised because he was a good running back like I was in high school. And it was like 3rd down, man, maybe 12 yards to go to score. They tossed it to my son. He got the ball. He got tackled at the 5-yard line. Now it's 4th and 5. And it's only a few minutes left on the clock. I called a timeout. I grabbed my son and I picked him up and I said, son, your name is powerful. You need to run for every Elias there was. So knowing how to invoke passion into our children builds strength. And I hit him on the top of his helmet and he looked at me and he gave me that look and I saw the charge in him. He said, I'm running for all the Eliases in the world. I said, okay, there you go. There you go, son.
Let's go.
And they hyped him that ball. They did the same toss play. He gets hit at the 1-yard line. And I'm like, oh, it's over. He turns his back and started pumping his legs. When he did that, the rest of his team came and they did a scrum and they pushed him and they scored, man, and they won the game. And he holds on to that. And I said, son, it's your name that's going to put you in front of powerful people. It's your name, son. So for me, that is what I want to leave the legacy. Your name is so important. It'll build character. Like you said, character is powerful, but they got to have a name attached to that character. Yeah. I love that, man.
Beautiful.
That's what it was for me, Doc. Yeah.
That's strong. That's strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what to say. Y'all kind of stole the show. No, I gotta say, I mean, I've got 3 absolutely wonderful children. I want to be able to leave them something, at least with the knowledge that knowing that the junk I went through and being able to understand what happened, taking accountability and growing from it, learning from your mistakes. I want them to be able to do that. I want them to be able to open up to me when needed. I want them to be able to be better. It's about all I can really kind of say with that. It's just going to get me all emotional at this point now. So,
Sure.
But I mean, I definitely would, want them to have things better.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a powerful message, and if we can't pass that down to them, that truth, that understanding, even if it's hard to hear, then what's the use anyways?
Yeah.
That's my philosophy behind it, because it's that legacy that we're trying to leave behind. And it doesn't have to look pretty. It doesn't have to look polished. It doesn't have to look like trophies up on the stand. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes it's the ugly mess that comes along with it that speaks the loudest messages.
Yeah.
And helps us grow. And so with that, in closing, here's the truth. You don't got to be numb to be tough. You don't have to be fake to be strong. And you damn sure don't have to die inside to earn someone's love.
Mm-mm.
The hardest thing I've ever done wasn't surviving war. It wasn't surviving heartbreak in my first marriage or multiple other relationships. It wasn't surviving trauma. It was feeling and staying present through it.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing I've been through. That's the kind of strength no one gives you a medal for. But it'll save your damn life. I promise you. We hope that you have received something from this. We're so humbled to be a part of this journey with you all. And we love you. We respect you, community. Thank you for continuing to show up. Much love to y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed that raw, emotional episode 8, fam. Sneak peek, my friends. I need y'all to mark your calendars, because next Tuesday, we're bringing someone to this mic who's been my mic, my growth, my fire, and my healing for a long time now. Next Tuesday, we welcome my wife, Samaya Platt, to Soulful 3's Journeys. And look, this ain't just a guest episode. This is the woman who walked beside me as I unraveled, rebuilt, and reshaped who I am today. She's held me down through trauma, faith shifts, parenting, podcasting, and a whole damn journey of unlearning. She's a veteran, a leader, a mother, and someone who's been through hell and didn't just survive. She came out with more empathy, more edge, and more purpose. She's walked her own military path. She's helping raise our daughters and son. She's loved a blended family into something beautiful. Y'all, she has a powerhouse of a journey to share for women falling forward in a man's world. And she's gonna share what it's really like to love someone through healing without losing yourself in the whole process. You don't want to miss next week. So Maya's got stories, she's got truth, and trust me, she's got bars. Next Tuesday, y'all, same mic, new voice, and one hell of a journey. Hope to see y'all there. Stay tuned. Until next time, much love, fam.